Okay, this is the housing for the Androids. It'll turn the front mount screen. Hold the power supply, Raspberry, and the screen on the under 5 right in the middle. It's been delayed a little bit. Had some problems. So I had 2 bad prints. First one, if you can see, nice and pretty on the front, little bit of lining, and not bad, but as you get towards the back, it gets worse. So I thought this was because the belts were loose on my printer. One belt was tighter than the other. That probably did have some effect on it. But really the problem is the bottom wheel on the X-Rail was loose. I haven't been doing maintenance on that printer. I have major changes coming to the Plus. I printed this on the Plus even though it would fit on the 5. I had the 5 half taken apart. It is my better printing printer right now. I believe it prints better than my Ender 3, which was the best printer in the shop. But yeah, this one is not square. Oh no, what was that wrong is the belts were on the wrong place on the pulleys. That's what was up, and that's why this was unsquare. So I fixed that. I printed this one, and I actually ended up with more lines in it, which I don't understand that. Also, signs of a little bit of heat, humidity. These prints are hard in my shop. I need an enclosure because the environment changes. I'll start them during the day, it'll be 80. At night, it'll go down really cold in the shop. And the temperature in the shop, even though I try, is varying. So this one could have been used, but the post broke off, and it's ugly. I didn't really want to use it. So went to the 3rd try. And on the 3rd try, I have a beautiful print here. However, I have a big line right here. So I have a couple little problems I need to tighten up on that machine. I'm going to take care of it. But this line was caused by a clog. And then when I restarted, I think I clogged because yesterday, that machine, while I was trying to dial it back in after taking it apart, dragged the nozzle across the bed. And my first thought was like, I should change that nozzle. And I didn't. And I also had a situation a couple weeks ago where I had some burnt. It stripped out in the extruder because of a clog that was mostly because of some settings that I was trying. What was I gonna say? That left some. When you have something like that happen, the PLA will just sit in the nozzle and cook, turn into like a black crust. I thought I got most of it out, but maybe I didn't. So, what to do with this? I am actually out of black PLA again. So, I spend a lot of money on PLA that goes in the garbage can. Anyways, I got more coming tomorrow from Amazon. So, I guess what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to fill it with super glue on the inside. And then, man, it's so freaking pretty. What a disappointment. I probably will reprint this when I get some more PLA. But yeah, I'm going to just go ahead and try to super glue it so it doesn't come apart. And then I'm thinking about running in some standable primer. I mean, I guess I'll look online and see if you can use automotive primer on this, but a lot of times you can get away with automotive primer if you just do a dust coat. Real slow, but I'm feeling like just seal it up with super glue. And then put some build-up primer on it, sand it, put a nice coat of satin black on it, and I think it'll be beautiful. So that's probably what we're going to do. Alright, moving right along. So, what do you need to do this mod? This is what you're all here for, I'm sure. So, I have 2 versions of this right here made. I have it for the Raspberry Pi 3 and the Raspberry Pi 4. So this particular one is for the 3. You're going to need this power supply. It is linked. It's from Amazon. It's linked on the Thingiverse page. So it's not very expensive. it is kind of a little bit different than a lot of people have been doing this. So this is a 120 volt buck converter. It's isolated. This is just a really nice precision power supply. This thing costs $12, and you're going to want one of these. You're going to want the Raspberry Pi. You're going to want a power connector. You're going to want a fuse. This fuse right here, you're going to want a 3-amp fuse. This is the 5 volt coming to power. So this will basically plug into here. From there, you're also going to want some high voltage wires. And I had an extension cord, quality extension cord that was really heavy duty. So I went ahead and used that. I have put another fuse in. This is the high voltage fuse. So when you buy these, you need to make sure that these fuse holders are rated for 120 volts. This one right here is a 300 milliamp fuse. It has connectors. So the beauty of doing it this way is these are going to connect right onto the input of the power supply, and that is after the switch. So by turning the switch off on the unit, it's going to turn this power supply off. So yeah, so basically these are going to go right in here to this side, and these will connect to the power supply. So from there, that's your high voltage wiring, low voltage wiring. So these are the two cables that are going to do the magic. So this cable right here is going to plug. Now it's turned the right direction. You want to make sure you get the right direction. So I think this is the left turn, if I remember correctly. Actually, no, this was probably the left turn. So you want this to plug into the front of your printer, and then it's going to go down, and it's going to go right in through the hole where your monitor old screen cable used to go in. Two things are going to go in there. If you have a camera, the camera cable is going to go in through there, and then this wire is going to go in through there. So you can just plug this into the front. Where we at? Plug this into the front, loop it around through the hole. This will be inside the bottom of the case. This will probably go up into the hole, into the screen holder. I don't know, maybe this part will fit. So what this is going to do, whoa, sorry about that. This is basically going to plug into the back of the Raspberry, and it's going to come through this little hole right here, and should be nice and tight. Squeeze it, so that'll just plug right in right there, and then this will plug into the other cable coming from the motherboard. So there was no onboard connections. The only other option would have been to soldering onto the bottom of the boards. I didn't see any real reason to do that, and the beauty of this is you can just unplug all your USB cables and bang your printers back to stock. So let me just look at this. So I think I got the Raspberry for $41. I think this whole thing is going to cost you about between $90 and $100 to do this mod. So yeah, it's pricey, but it's tidy. So a couple things. Screws, these are smaller than your standard motherboard screws. The motherboard screws didn't really fit on the boards great, so it has to be smaller than a fine motherboard screw. I'm working on that. I haven't really paid too much attention to that. So yeah, basically we're going to drop this in here, and this does have the ability to move over just a tiny bit, and it sits lower than the post for the board. Now I don't have my plugs knocked out, so I'm not gonna be able to plug this in. So basically this is kind of tight, but it will go in here. It has to go straight down, and it will pop in there. You have to pull out on the outside edge a little bit, and it'll snap in there. So that's where we're at with this. There's a fuse kit. Fuses are expensive to buy. You need 2 sizes, but basically it was cheaper, literally cheaper, than to buy 2 sets of 5 fuses for the 2 sizes I need. It was literally cheaper to buy all these fuses. So there's a link to that on the Amazon. The only other thing I can think of is you want some connectors. I soldered these on and shrink wrapped them. The one right here I double shrink wrapped the ones that are going to be laying on top of stuff inside the cabinet. So that's where we're at. I'm going to clean this up. It's going to take me probably at least a day to get this thing right, and once I get this thing right, we'll go ahead and button all this stuff together. But I've actually had it all hooked up without the box, and it all works great. So alright, stand by. We'll get this knocked out, and we'll give a demonstration of it completed. Good luck, everybody.